Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. I wanted to kind of do this real quick before I actually get you started into the session that I recorded. This is going to be not a graphic but a pretty bad video. It's real short actually because the session ended quickly. But I wanted you to see an example of a real bad incident that happens on the go-karting track. So go ahead and watch it and then I'll get back to you after you guys are done.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. I am your host, Captain Awesomeness, and today I'm doing something a little different. So I wanted to experience what it would be like to race against 8 other people in a session. So that's why I decided to show up here on a Saturday, and I have a feeling that I'm going to have quite the experience, the thrill maybe, of running into people and figuring out how to go around them. This is a group of people with completely different skill sets. Gentleman right in front of me actually is probably a bit skilled compared to the rest, but we shall see. I'm not expecting good lap times because I'm going to be running into people a lot, but that's the point of it, is to see how well I manage my kart, my abilities when dealing with a large group of people. So that's what I'm doing, and at this moment I'm just waiting for us to get the go-ahead. Looks like we're about to get that. So this group over here just got done. Apparently they're having a little bit of a fight because they decided to crash into each other. Now I have been warned that weekend sessions can be crazy, which is exactly why I do not come over here. So but in any case, yeah, the thing was I wanted to experience what it's like to race against other people, and the only time I can do that is on the weekends when people have time to do this kind of stuff. All right, looks like people are beginning to leave the track, and I'm also starting dead last, so this is even going to be crazier as a challenge to try to find a way to navigate around people with less skills and abilities. Okay, let's make things happen. Oh. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of kissing and contact. It's just gonna be how it is. Get out the way if you don't know what you're doing. But yeah, I was kind of thinking this is exactly what would happen. This is not a good situation to be in, but I'm gonna do what I can to introduce myself to people. Woo-hoo. Wait till this person finds out what I can do. Just look for holes. Whew, that was a tough one. It is crazy running against 8 people in a track as small as this. Yeah, it doesn't bode well. Cool. I'm at like 19.5. Yikes. But at least I'm on the leaderboard on this particular session, and I'm gonna do an after action review, as we call it. Just got bumped. That's okay. Alright, I gotta figure it out.
So as you can tell, or if you can't tell, that was a pretty bad impact. As a matter of fact, it was so bad that I felt like my face hit the inside of the helmet. The good thing is I was wearing that neck brace, so my neck didn't come all the way down. So that really was great, you know, with the fact that I also had those seat belts on, so they stopped me from moving too far forward, like into the steering wheel. None of that happened, so that's good. The only thing that happened for a little bit was that my back started to hurt a lot, but then it just kind of went away. The safety marshals got me an ice pack, so all in all, I am good. But this is a great lesson learner for us all. So I'm gonna just kind of talk through what had happened. I was coming around after going through the straightaway, and I'm going full throttle, and as I'm making that turn around, all of a sudden, I did not know this at the time, but I saw, I guess for a brief second, I don't remember this now, but the camera does, is that I guess I had seen at the very last second that there was a person in front of me going the opposite direction, and I went bam into them, like no time to react at all. And once I hit them, at first I didn't know what had happened, so I looked around. I'm trying to figure out what the heck happened, and I realized rather quickly what had transpired, and I went and parked to the side, to the outside of the track, and that's when a little bit of the pain started coming up. So that's when I was like, okay, I need to get off this cart. I need to go tell the safety marshal what's happening, and then I'll deal with it later. So they got me an ice pack, and they got me a bottle of water. They tried to do what they could. They asked me if I needed to get any extra assistance, and I told them I was fine. It was just that my pain in the back had flared up a little bit, but luckily with that ice pack, I wasn't able to feel too much of it. Who knows by tomorrow whether I'll feel, you know, a little sore, but we'll see. But anyway, a lot of lessons to learn from this. So if you recall what I had said early on when I was sitting and getting ready in the pit lane to go race with these guys, was that, you know, I realized that there were people with different skill sets, some who had never raced before, some who may have done 1 or 2 sessions, and then there was another young man who had about 45 sessions that they've done total at Boss Pro Karting. So I mean, it just was a good mixed bag, and I thought, okay, if I know a certain few things about what tendencies happen, and that assumption set comes from looking at, you know, previous historical trends and how drivers drive. I was able to kind of navigate myself around, knowing that certain people, they will take turns wide, so this is the time for me to kind of take the inside line and go around them. So I did what I could there. It's just that I did not expect for that situation to happen, where somebody decided that once they had spun out, that instead of stopping, they started to move forward. So not cool. So it's a pretty hot lesson to learn here. You know, when something like this happens, for everybody to learn, regardless of whether you've been racing or not. When you spin out, or when you're in a situation where you're not in the pointed in the direction where you're supposed to be, stop and let the safety marshals get you fixed up, instead of stopping and then just continuing to go into the opposite direction. It's just not cool at all. So I'm not blaming the driver again, by the way, because it's not their fault. I'm not blaming the track either. It's just a situation that was unique, and it just happened, and there was no way to avoid it. But anyway, so let's just talk about real quick 3 points that I want to make sure for every driver to know, especially those who've been racing. Make sure that, first of all, you are racing with people who know what they're doing, and if not, get off of the session. Second of all, try to find a more, it's a tough word to put here, but a more prudent approach when you're racing in these kinds of sessions. If you do end up with people who don't have the same skill set as you, that means you have to go slower around corners, especially certain blind spots, so you don't have happen to you what happened to me. So that's another point. And then the third thing is definitely take, which should be really number one. I'm sorry to kind of do this in a weird fashion or weird order. Safety is number one. This actually exemplifies why over here in the United States, all these go-karting places, at least most of them do, got to have a good helmet, a DOT certified helmet. Got to have a neck brace. And then importantly, the seat belt. Got to wear that, and got to wear it such that you're securely tied down into that seat that you are sitting on. If you don't follow that, and then on top of that, when you are racing and on the track, you don't look around, keep a situational awareness of where you are and where your opponents are, that is going to be a good recipe for disaster. Luckily, in this situation, all that was a head-on collision, and I am so glad that both of us did not get seriously injured from this, because, I mean, things can happen in anything. But in go-karting, it becomes a little bit more pronounced. I know that in outdoor karting sessions, there is no seatbelt, so you got to be even more careful there. I mean, yeah, you're going super fast compared to what you are indoor, but the amount of risk only goes up exponentially, so be very mindful of safety. But in any case, with those lessons that I've learned, I have made a commitment that from now on, I am never in any go-karting facility racing on the weekends. And if I do, it's only because they made the session exclusive to me and other able racers who know what the heck they're doing. That would be the only condition. So I am glad that I'm okay. I am glad that the other person's also okay. I don't hold anybody responsible for what happened there. I do hold myself accountable for maybe not being as prudent, as I mentioned, as I should have been. And that is what the key lesson of this video is. That, you know, I made assumptions about the skills and abilities of people, thinking, okay, this can happen and that can happen. But I did not put into account that spin outs can happen too, even though in my older video, somebody did spin out. But it's just that the way they spun out, I could see them, and they were not in the more of a dangerous area compared to what happened today. But yeah, that is a lesson learner for me, and I have made certain commitments to myself to not repeat certain things again. Now, I was planning on doing a lot of sessions. I ended up with only 3, but it is what it is. Luckily, up to as of this time, and I'm recording this at like 7:31 p.m. Saturday evening, I actually did not do all of my sessions at all, but at the same time, I was in that session. I was not. I was the fastest driver, but then in a follow-on session where I did race with the young man, I actually did relatively okay. I mean, it was a 19.1 second lap time, but it was not in my favorite card, so I was like, whatever. I mean, can't really complain. So I was happy with my sessions overall. I did look at the consistency side of it too, and it looked like I was pretty consistent, plus or minus 1/10 of a second. So my first few laps were at like 19.3, and then I went down to 19.2, and then I went down further into 19.1, and then from there I was kind of doing like a 1/10 of a second. So between 19.1 and 19.2, I'd be in the 1/10 of a second kind of gap in there. So at least in the 1/10 of a second margin, I'm doing pretty good, but I don't know if it needs to be narrower than that. Because in this session, it was just myself and that younger guy, and except for the first or second lap, he really didn't get in my way. So I think I have a lot of room for improvement, and I will make sure that I do that. But yeah, that's all I have right now, guys. I am, again, fine, and I'm going to continue go-karting. It's just that I'm going to be careful. And in the next video, which you will see, it is actually from the same day where I raced another group of novices, but luckily that did not turn out to be so bad compared to what this one was. So thanks again for watching, guys. I am going to get out of here. Have a good one, and be safe, guys. Bye-bye.